Protoss Priest is an archetype that was introduced a while ago, but it has gotten a lot more powerful with the card Resuscitate. Resuscitate is a 5 mana spell that revives a 1, 2, and 3 cost minion, and then also gives them reborn. With the Sentry and the 1 mana fish, and also the Void Ray or the charge minion, it allows you to get really strong board states, and also it allows you to then reduce down the cost of your minions because the Sentry gives you one less cost onto your Protoss cards. This then allows you to create motherships, extremely powerful motherships, and also create extremely powerful board states because you're able to mana cheat out a lot of different stats through that. And then with hallucination as well onto the mothership, it allows you to get the extra board gold. The cards you're looking to mulligan for is you're looking for the 1 mana fish, you're looking for Sentry, you're looking for Trusty Fishing Rod, Orbital Halo is relatively decent, and Resuscitate and more control-y matchups is also quite good. The deck uses things such as hot coals for the less for the aggressive matchups, so you're able to have a board clear, and it also uses and you also want to keep Xavius as well. Going into this game, I am playing against a more than likely a Spell Druid. That's what you assume for each of the matchups anyway. If it's not a Spell Druid, it will be a Aviana Druid. And Aviana Druid, in general, it involves a little bit of luck for it, because if they get a stronger Aviana and then they're also able to get the strong minions coming through it, the 1 cost minions that come through it, it then obviously becomes a lot more powerful. But if they don't end up hitting those board states and things, it obviously makes them a lot weaker. You'll see that I ended up just playing down my minions and then just going face. Like, there's not really any major reason to do too much. I opted to not use the Chill and Vol'jin because if I played the Chill and Vol'jin down, it's quite possible that they could have played down a really big static minion. So I'm using that just in case I do need to take out one of their massive minions they potentially could summon relatively early. They play down the Warrior Rush minion, and then it ends up hitting into my Void Ray, so I can use the Resuscitate this following turn, which will obviously be quite strong for what I need to do. They use this Dollhouse and also this Phases to be able to take out that board. I do get the Void Ray here as well, and with the other reborn minions, and what I'm trying to think of right now is which minion I'm going to put it on. I opt to put it onto the Void Ray just so I can end up taking out the minion that's there. I also do take out one of the 1/1s with my fish, because there's not really any point just leaving it onto the board that's there. I use the 3/2 to trade into the Aviana as well, just to be able to reduce that down. Like, I now am at the point where with them not having any cards in their hand as well, it does obviously make them a lot weaker for a potential fight against me. They end up trading into my minions here, so it's perfectly fine for me. I draw into a Void Ray here. With the current board that I have, I do just play down the Hot Coals as well, along with the Void Ray to be able to clear their board. And then obviously I still have heaps of minions that are on the board here as well. I could have played down the bird here, which would have done a decent amount as well, but with their board state it wasn't really too much of an issue either way. I do obviously have the Chill and Vol'jin here if they do end up summoning a big taunt minion or something, and with the minions having reborn, it's not really too much of a concern what they could potentially do against me. And obviously with the 8 damage sitting on board, I do have lethal going into next turn, so they will end up conceding very shortly. So Protoss Priest does have a bit of power behind it when you use it to tempo against opponents. So like, it does have a lot of tempo using the 1, 2, 3 drops and then Resuscitate to create a extremely strong board state. It also has the ability to deal with aggressive matchups because those minions are quite well statted, and Sentry with it having lifesteal does mean that you can use it to heal a little bit of damage as well, so it's quite decent into aggressive matchups as well. I ended up keeping the Resuscitate in this matchup just because of how important it is. Unfortunately, I did draw into the second one, which obviously isn't great for me. With the Xavius in my hand, it is relatively decent for me though. I have the Photon Cannon as well. I could use it against the 1-1 to save an extra damage, but if I used it, it's possible they may end up getting one of their better statted minions to be able to, and have that on the board for an extended period of time. They use the Platysaur here, it draws them a card, and then they use the Demon Claws as well to then deal more damage to me. It's important here I do take out the Platysaur. I just use the Void Ray to trade into it. There's not really, like, I don't need to use the Photon Cannon. I wouldn't use that in that situation, but any cards they lose is obviously a decent thing for me, especially if they don't play it down straight away. It's obvious that it's going to be one of their more late game situational cards, which it obviously did end up being. They end up using their hero power and then trading into my 3-2, so I am sitting relatively decent with that. It's going into turn 4. I don't have any minions on board right now, so I do play down the Xavius. It's important that I am trying to get set up a little bit, and that's the reason why I didn't play the Photon Cannon that turn. I end up choosing the Sentry with the 4-5 ability going onto it, because it will be useful going into the future turn for me, and it means that I'll be getting more set up with Resuscitate. Them using the red card there was quite a iffy play, just simply because of the fact that I did just put a minion on top of my deck that had an extra 4-5 of stats. Like, it will mean that I won't be able to trade into their 3-3, but it obviously is a little bit iffy when you are putting a minion like that on top of your deck without having a clear way of clearing it. I play down the Sentry here. I use the heal as well. I used the Photon Cannon first, just so then I could get the reduction down and then also get the heal going onto it. They play down the Dangerous Cliffside, so with them playing it down, they are just trying to deal as much face damage as they can. So they're trying to out damage and outlast my heal that I have. With the Hot Coals that I do have on the field, it does mean that I'll be able to AoE them if I need to anyway. And with the Sentry, I am going to be able to get the extra health going onto me as well. I use the Hot Coals here, so it does clear the majority of the board. I heal, and then I just deal the 1 damage with the fish, and that essentially just sums up the game for them. Like, there's not really any situation they'll be able to do to outlast me now with my current board state that I have. Obviously, the heal is too much for them in that situation. They use the Dangerous Cliffside again. It gets them the minions to the board, and then they are going to use the Hot Coals, so it just leaves me with just a single Sentry. I use the power onto my Sentry, and I just heal. Like, there's not really too much they can do now, especially since that legendary was discarded. Going into a warrior matchup, it is one of the matchups that's a bit strange. Like, you don't really want to apply for tempo. A lot of your cards that you're wanting to hold are going to be so you have better power in the late game. Like, you'll keep Orbital Halo in this matchup just so you can try and deal a little bit of extra damage to them, but a lot of the time you're looking at trying to go in towards the later sort of turns where you're getting extra value against them. I do end up playing down the fish here, and then I just trade into the 2-1. It means that it's easy for them to be able to clear me if they need to. With me playing down the fish, it does mean that I have a decent board state going into the next turn anyway, so like having the 3-3 on the board, so I just send that into their face. With the Medvac on the field, like, I'm not really too concerned about that, but it does show that they're playing the Starship version as well, so they're going to be playing the Control Starship deck, so it'll have Ancient of Yours, it'll also have the Starship pieces as well, so it's important now that I am going to try and get as much damage as I can onto the board, but also to try and get my Mothership set up so I can have relatively strong Mothership turns as well. I play down the 4-4 here just to also see the cards at the top of my deck. What I'm trying to get on those is I'm trying to get extra copies of Motherships. will obviously be quite useful, or hallucinations if I already have the Mothership in my hand, because it will obviously be quite useful in terms of setting up in their turns against them. They play down their they use their Starship here, so it does activate. It's not too much of a concern for me. I use the attack to hit into the 2/2, and then I use hot calls to trade into them. I play the Orbital Halo onto my fish and then trade into the 3/2, which then does get the clear onto them. I could have used Resuscitate that turn, but since there's no Sentry into it at the moment, there's not really any point using it. Like, it was preferred not using it for that. With the Chrono Boost, like, I do have that available, but I am still trying to access the Sentry to get the cost reduction down. The Mothership obviously is really good here with the Reborn being on it, but I end up choosing the Sentry because of how important it is to get more set up, because I didn't have any access to it. If I had already had Sentry in the pool, it would 100% be that Mothership choice, especially with the Reborn. But since I didn't have any Sentries yet, it wouldn't be a very good play using that. I play the Chrono Boost down, which then allows me to deal some more damage to them. They do have quite a lot of armor on their board, so it is a little bit of a concern. And with the hit with the trusty fishing rod, I am able to then trade and get the other Sentry onto the board. Since they haven't taken any of my Sentries yet, it's important that I'm not wasting my any of my hallucinations or any of my resuscitates, because I do need to get as much mana reduction down onto those for the Motherships as possible. You'll also see that I do have a Mothership coming next turn with the 2 cards in the middle of the deck. Unfortunately, that's not going to really do too much at the moment, especially since I have so many cards still available. I have so much mana that I still need to be able to cheat out. I use the Resuscitate now to be able to clear their board. Obviously, it also allows me to get the extra minions onto the board as well. And then I end up just healing up my fish. And there's no real point trading into the 5/5 at the moment, so I do just leave that onto the board. I'm obviously wanting them to be able to trade into my Sentry, so it's fine them having that there. It's important that I am keeping my Divine Shield just in case they have some sort of damage that could be potentially played from their hand. They play down the Exeter, so it gets them their Starship available. With them having the Starship, it does allow them to get the hit going into one of my minions because of the 4 mana minion that they have in their Star Piece. It does get them the 7/8 as well, so I'm not sitting in the best of positions in terms of this, but it does mean that I can play down the extra Resuscitate to get more of my minions down onto the board. I do trade into the Starship with my Sentry as well, just to get some more reduction down onto my cards. You'll also notice that I haven't played the Hallucination down just yet, and I do choose the Chillin' Vol'jin here as well, just to get it out of my deck, but also if I do need to, it'll allow me to deal some more damage to them. A problem that you'll also notice just at the moment is that they have a lot of armor. So obviously with the amount of armor they do have, it does mean that it's going to take quite a long time to deal enough damage to get through their board. Since they did get the Exeter and they used it to generate more armor, it does obviously have a little bit of an issue for me in that situation. They use their Gem Rainer now, so it is reducing down the amount of effectiveness they do have. They do still obviously have their other minions on the board, and they play down their Defense Crystal as well here, so it is going to get a decent amount of stuff onto the board against me. I do have access to my Mothership now as well, which is obviously quite good for me, and I do play that down. So I play down the Mothership here, it gets me the 2 extra cards. The Carrier and the Colossus are obviously quite good. I do play down the Hallucination here just to be able to get the extra Mothership onto the board. I would love to play the other Hallucination down as well, obviously, but if I did, it would mean that I wouldn't be able to get as much, or wouldn't be able to get all the minions back. And I did use the Chillin' Vol'jin here to be able to get the the Sentry so I could get some lifesteal happening onto my minions. And then I end up just leaving the defense crystal alive. Like, it would have probably been better getting rid of it. I did run out of time there as well, so it's not too much of an issue them having the defense crystal there, but it probably would have been better trading my 3-2 and the Void Ray into the defense crystal, and then using the extra charge into the 4-2, just so it's less likely they had any sort of board clear against me. They do end up getting the 4-3s down onto the board, so they will be able to clear my minions quite easily. So they are just trading the Exodar into the Mothership and things like that, and then they take out my Sentry as well with the defense crystal. So I do end up overdrawing here, which is fine, I guess. I use the Chillin' Vol'jin to take out the 4-3. It then hits, obviously, my 3-2 that's there as well. In terms of the play here, like, it probably was better just because I do end up playing down the Colossus. It probably was better using the damage going into face instead of dealing damage to that other one, and then using the Colossus afterwards. But it is what it is. I used the Carrier, and then I just play down the Immortal as well. It obviously gets me a decent board state as well. With the Bird as going into next turn too, it does mean that I will be able to get a decent amount of minions onto the field if I need to. So the carrier ships ended up dealing face damage, so dealing the 16 damage from hand there obviously was quite powerful for me. They use Sleep Under the Stars, so it does get them some extra cards, and it'll obviously get them set up some more, so it is putting them into a decent position, but with them already of using the Jim Raynor, it does mean that they don't have too much to really do to me. They use the Brawl here, and I do get quite lucky by the carrier surviving. It means that they will have to use some more of their cards to be able to deal with my carrier. They use the Yamoto's cannon, so it does obviously clear it. And then they use their hero power, so it is getting them into a decent position. I've got the carrier in my hand. I obviously do also have the Bird, so I end up opting just to play down the carrier and play down the Colossus. It would have been decent having those other cards that were there, but what I'm hoping for is... Oh, sorry, I keep the Colossus. What I'm hoping for is I'm trying to get it so the Bird and the Mothership can be used together, so I can generate some extra cards through it, and obviously create a relatively strong board. They use the Wondrous Wand here, so it does leave them with very few cards left in their deck. With the Wondrous Wand also being used, it does mean that they do get access to that Ziliax that's there. They do have access to 16 mana as well at this point in time, so it is now at the point where I am going to have to start thinking about how I'm going to be at the clears going. They still do have access to the Ceaseless Expanse as well, so it's important that I don't go too heavy onto the board when I do play down my minions. With the Colossus as well, it's important that I use it to obviously clear the boards that I need to, because it's pretty much the last of my things that I can do. You'll also notice that I do have the Chrono Boost in my hand, and I haven't used it. The reason why I haven't used the Chrono Boost is because if I use the Chrono Boost, it will mean that I'll draw into the Mothership, and what I'm still trying to do is I'm trying to get the Mothership to still activate, to still have the extra 2 coming from hand, because I felt like I'd need the extra value. They play down the Elise here. It does get them the location coming from it, and with the location it is going to apply a bit of pressure towards me, so they use it to get the extra 10/10 minion onto the board, so I can't really just sit around and do nothing this turn, especially since I did just use the Colossus last turn. So with the few cards that I do have in my deck, obviously I still am holding out hope that I do get the Mothership, to be able to get the extra value coming from it. They do play down the Lost City as well here, so it's not really... It's obviously too late for them to get any extra value coming from it, but I don't really want to be taking a lot of extra damage than what I need to. I end up drawing into the Birdwatching here. I end up using it to get the Mothership because it's now at the point where it's too late to just leave it. I use the Orbital Halo onto the Mothership, and then I play down the Hallucination onto it as well. This will allow me to get the Divine Shields going onto it too. I use the Dark Templar to clear the Elise, and then I put the Orbital Halo also onto my Dark Templar, and then I play down the Sentry. So this forces them into using their own Ceaseless Expanse or Brawl. With Brawl, it's less likely that they'll end up getting an extremely favourable board state through that. And obviously, as you can see, it did mean that it left my Mothership alive that's there. They end up using their Starport, and then they play down the Ceaseless Expanse. So it does mean that it clears my Mothership, but it leaves them just with the Ceaseless Expanse available. They play down their Ham here, and then they put down their Hero Power as well. So it's not really too much of an issue for me. I use the Sasquatch here just to be able to get my extra Mothership down. Unfortunately, the Hallucination ends up activating before, so it means that I don't get any extra copy of Mothership or anything like that. One of the Orbital Halos goes onto my Mothership, but one goes onto their Ham, which is a little bit annoying. I use the Orbital Halo onto my Dark Templar again, just in case I do get a second of the Templars, but it also allows me to have something in backup if I need to. They end up trading into my Immortal using their minion, and then they use the Char, so it does allow them to clear the Immortal that's there. With the 11/11 Mothership, it does make it a little bit unfavorable for them to trade into it. They use their Golden Cabal as well, so they obviously are hoping for something relatively decent, but unfortunately it's not really going to pay out that way for them. They use they activate their Starship as well, so it is at the point where they're not going to be able to really do too much against me. Obviously in this sort of situation, the Mothership is quite strong for me. I use the Chrono Boost here just so I can take out the Ham the Hungry, the big one that they end up having, and I use the Mothership to trade into it. I then use all my minions essentially to trade effectively into their minions, and since I do have access to an Immortal, I do play that down so I can get a big buffed up dude. Since they did just only get legendary minions, it's quite likely they won't have any easy way to deal with the 10/16. Along with the Mothership that's there, so it does put me into quite a strong position. They get the Unseen, so it does mean that they will be able to trade in, but it's now, with them using all those cards, it puts them into a relatively weak position against that. With the Golden Cabal trading into my guy, it does mean that I do have a decent way of clearing their board as well. I use the Void Ray to trade into their Golden Cabal. I then just play down the Immortal, and I play down the Carrier as well. Since they've used the Golden Cabal and they didn't have any extra cards, it's very unlikely they will have access to a Brawl or something like that. The only way they'd be able to get it is if they got it through the spell coming from the location. Their Fatigue also is dealing enough damage to them where it's not going to be an issue for me anyway, because of the fact that they are going to be taking 6 damage of Fatigue, which will obviously be lethal going into next turn. So it does obviously set me up to win this following turn, and there wasn't really any sort of big concern once they did get to Fatigue about that sort of situation. If you've enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe, and bye for now.